Good morning. Or, well, it is for me at least. Today we're going to be talking about how to be king of the pirates. There is a lesson here, just hold on tight. Giving a small update, and this actually is relative to the lesson. I'm encroaching week 2 of being homeless. The homeless system in Texas is crap. I can't speak for other states. This state, as far as I know, they just try to contain it, and they don't really help. I was a little frustrated. Maybe it's just I didn't understand the process, but I found it's called Metro Relief, which is supposed to be church-based, I believe. And I went into the place because it's labeled like they have a location, they have somewhere to go in. You can't get them on the phone, so I walked in, and I was like, "Yo, guys, I need to take a shower." And they look at me and go, "Oh, well, the bus shower comes in on Saturday," and this was like a Monday or Tuesday. Comes in on Saturday in McKinney. I'm just like, that's, like a 45-minute drive. Do you have something I can do today? And they're like, no. I was like, food? No. It's like, so is this just like a place where you talk about helping? Okay, I'm gonna let that one go. It's just a place to sit around and talk about helping people. I don't know if they actually do. I didn't do a lot of research, just a first-hand thing. It's like, well, I came in expecting help and I got, maybe I'm just looking in the wrong place. But it turns out most of the homeless shelters are actually full anyways. And there's only even one around me, so it's just kind of, it is what it is. So how does this relate to freedom? Because it looks like I have none, You live in your car, you feel utterly restricted. Restricted. Interesting. But how does this actually relate? So we're going to talk about One Piece, King of the Pirates, if you haven't caught on to that. I don't even think you'd have to know about anime to know what One Piece is as of this point. But it's an anime about a guy, because that's, every anime. He wants to be King of the Pirates. Go figure. But the philosophy behind it is what I'm going to be talking about. I have gotten mostly through it. I'm up to the point where all the English dubbed episodes are out. I just need to start watching the subtitled episodes. But that means I'm current, and there's over 1,200 episodes right now. That's actually not a joke. That is 1,200 episodes. And after burning through all that, I really idolize the main character, as many people do. You can see it, in fact. People have started using the Luffy flag as protesting. I've even seen clips and videos about it. Because it is an overwhelming sense of just freedom. Nothing to do with the anime. Well, in that cartoon, he was born free. And that's what everyone says. We're born in America. We're born free. We're not. What I mean is born free was he was raised, even though he didn't have parents, he was raised in a loving home that didn't judge him, didn't kick him down. In fact, that's part of the story is his grandpa, or his grandpa figure, was raising him, and he's a Marine. And in that show, that's the same thing as cops and robbers. Cops are the good guys, the ones who keep the pirates in check. And the robbers are obviously the pirates. And, the grandpa tried, he's like, no, you're not allowed to be a pirate, it's no, bad. But they followed their own dream anyways. And later, even though he's a Marine, it's against his code of honor, he's like, damn, I'm so fucking proud of those kids. He even has to fight them sometimes. He's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. He went against his own code of honor for his adopted kids. That's freedom. They were raised to be free. They were allowed to do what they want. I mean, let's talk about what freedom actually is. It depends on what your opinion or perspective of it is. To him, it was being freer than anyone else. Like, no labels, no restrictions, not having to follow some rules. For him, he even admitted it. One episode he goes, I'm not looking for anything big, I just want to be king of the pirates. And his crew's like, do you understand the words coming out of your mouth? They're like, dude, that's the top title in the pirate world. But he wasn't doing it for fame. He did it because he believed that it would give him freedom. Although, the entire time, he was completely free. So it's kind of this interesting dichotomy. He searched for this goal to be free, but the irony was he was completely free the entire time. He did whatever he wanted, whenever the fuck he wanted. His crew, they're allowed to be free. The crew trusts him and loves him because he's free. He allows them to be free. His freedom allows them the same freedom. Whenever they're like, Captain, I have some serious business I gotta attend to. He's like, alright, just come back alive. Like, really? He's like, yeah, dude, I don't give a fuck, go do your thing. Go take care of you. Go take care of you. And they're like, oh my god, you're the best person ever. And they always did. Literally, some of the scenes were like, sorry guys, can't die today, Captain's waiting on me. Let's kick some ass. However, for us, it's not the same. I specifically was raised with a lot of limitations. Part of it being disabled. That was one of the biggest things for me, was a loss of freedom. Being treated like I was not good enough, I could never amount to much, and I'm not trying to throw a pity party. It's just, it is what it is. People look at you, whether you're disabled or not, people just judge. I'm fully a part of this too. I'm not separating myself. I'm learning to judge a lot less. And that's where some of the freedom comes in. What is freedom to you? To me, it's being able to do everything everyone else can do. You know? But that's the funny thing, I already can. I'm already free. I was working a job where I could lift up to 80 pounds. Disabled. I could shuffle. I could work with the best of them. In fact, my hypervigilance kicked in so much that I was a better worker than most people. Because I was trying twice as hard to be free. To prove that I could do whatever everyone else could do. And in this specific aspect, I became free because I stopped caring. You know, I'm not going to do anything about this arm. It's been like this since birth. Those who don't know. I was born this way. So, it wasn't an accident. I didn't get in some car wreck. It's just how it always was for me. So you can imagine how freedom was really important. But after proving to myself I can do virtually whatever I want. I type on keyboards, I play video games, I even played the guitar for a while. And everyone would look at me and be like, how do you do that? I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you don't have a thumb. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, but it's like, because I want to. Because I will not be restricted by the same confines of your perspective. In my mind, freedom is the release of judgment, fear, basically any change that holds you back. Whether they be physical, or whether they be mental, or spiritual. It's freedom from any system that stops you from being yourself. Because I was taught I was never going to be good enough or be able to do things. Anyways, what are you doing, Hands? Again, you can imagine I was looked at by managers, like certain jobs. I'd walk in, they just look at me and be like, And you could tell they were just doing an interview just to be respectful. That's not actually in my head, imagining scenarios. No, that was that was very real. That was something I had to deal with. So you're like, alright, well, how do I truly get free? Because obviously I can't just rip off my arm and get a new one. I did have a lot of doctors trying to tell me, you should go get it fixed, you should go get it fixed. But reality, the situation is, they wouldn't fix it. The doctors would only be like, well, either we can get you a prosthetic, or we can try to break it more, or... But the thing is, I'm already free. If I were to break it, especially at this age, I would have to relearn how to do everything. And this part, I'm gonna let out, because we'll bring it back to it. This is not just dogging on my father, but there was one point where my dad finally came and said, look, man, do you want to look at these procedures? And I said exactly the same thing. As a kid, I'm like, no. I would have to relearn how to do everything. And it's like, I'm already at this point of just fuck it. He came back later saying that was his decision, but, well... Anyways. Yeah, oh, there's the hook. I'm gonna have to pull it out later. But, I kept with that mentality, even though I'm like, well, everyone around me is reflecting it, because whenever I worked at that job, I surprised the shit out of people. In fact, I was even prideful. Because, you know, people would look at me. I worked at a UPS store. I lift heavy boxes. I had to pack. I had to move. I had to go get stuff out of people's cars and carry them inside. And they look at you and they're like, whoa, oh, hold on, let me help you. And I would actually get nasty because it was self-defense. It was training or programming I had to get over. I'd be like, no, dude, I got it. Just fuck off. I got it. You don't know how many times I wanted to scream that at customers. It's like, dude, let me do my job. I work here. I can do this. But because of the perspective of everyone else, I would go home feeling like shit. Like I couldn't function as a person. And that's not to say F those people. I mean, that's just how it is. Judgment. Everyone judges. Everyone. Including me. So how do you get free? Despite the system around you, trying to prove otherwise. Because again, it was also something my parents bestowed on me. Whether they meant to or not, it's because they were told the same thing. If you've heard my story before, the doctors say I wasn't supposed to live, blah, blah, blah. So essentially, I was never supposed to have a normal life. And that's the thing they projected onto me, whether they knew it or not. So because of my parents' projections, I never felt adequate. And this is, again, not dogging on them. It is what it is. It's the scenario I grew up in. Alright, I'm not blaming them. I'm not even angry. It's just how it went down. So now what I had to do is I had to free myself from those constraints. At some point, I had to stop and think, well, I can play a guitar, I can type on a keyboard, I can play with a game controller, I can do this. I mean, of course, I do have some limitations. It's just normal. I'm not in denial. I don't have a thumb, dude. It's basically a monkey paw. Oh, wait. Anyways. So there are some restrictions, some lack of freedom. But I free myself by working around it. I get around the system, or the limitations. But that's not what makes me free. It's, I allowed myself to be, despite what everyone else said. Again, I can't help but to think the same thing. You know, I saw an army vet the other day. Dude's missing a leg. You just naturally are like, yo, dude, that sucks. It's a lack of freedom. It's a restriction. But that's only if that's how you see it. I could feel it in his bones. The dude was pretty melancholy. I mean, it's hard not to feel like that. When something like that happens to you, how do you not let it weigh on your heart? How do you not let it destroy you? Well, I'm proof. I'm not saying anyone's struggle is stronger than the other. I mean, obviously, if you're missing a effing leg, that's pretty detrimental. How do you free yourself? Well, it's the change in your heart. It's the not feeling good enough. It's the perspective. Yeah, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to hold that mentality of freedom while you're physically disabled, mentally disabled, or spiritually disabled. Here's the fun part. There's an episode where one of the bad guys turns into a good guy. Her name is Nico Robin. She ends up being one of the bad guys. She sneaks onto the crew and pretends to be a good guy, and then ends up getting captured, and they're like, nah, you're a good guy. We like you. And she goes, no, F you guys. You know what? Just let me die. It's been my destiny. She had a tough childhood, and she believed that the only way to escape was death. But Luffy, the main character, or the captain, could see that that's not what she wanted. She had given up to the system and said, you know what? I'm done fighting. I'm done struggling. I'm done being subjected to the limitations, so let's just succumb to them. This must be my life. So it's funny, Luffy wouldn't even help her. And his whole crew's like, dude, they're gonna kill her. Go save her. He's like, nope, not yet. Like, what the hell are you doing? He looks up and goes, you gotta ask. And it was just like, what? Of course, I'm paraphrasing. That's not exactly how it went down, but he basically made her ask him. She had to pull up the truth within herself and break the chains. He made her be free. He made her free herself. Because what she did was, at that point, she looks up and goes, please save me. I don't want to die. He goes, cool, let's do it. There's a fun fact. We're going to go on a little tangent here. How many therapists does it take to change a light bulb? Just one. But the light bulb has to want to change. The joke behind that is completely true. If you try to free someone who doesn't want to be free, they actually try to bring you down. And it's not trying to make someone realize they want to be free. It's the very fact that Luffy was free. And people saw that and they go, I want to be just like that. How did you do that? And by him just being himself, he was able to free the hearts of other people. That's how he got his crew. Every member had some hardship. And sometimes he had to physically go in and beat the shit out of someone. Or sometimes he had to physically or mentally kind of get them to open up their hearts or their minds. But he didn't do it himself. He didn't force them. Sometimes he did. He didn't force them. He forced like the bad guys. Like the first character, Nami. The second character, Nami. She had some pirates she was enslaved to. And this whole scenario went down. So Luffy actually had to come in and kick his ass. And say, you're free now. And because of that, that opened up her heart. She goes, oh wow, I'm free. So even though he beat up the bad guy, she still had to free herself. He couldn't do it for her. He just showed her a way to be free, or showed her that she was free. That she didn't have to stick up for it anymore. It was essentially a bully situation, and she actually turned around and goes, screw you, bully. Please help me kick his ass. That's basically how it went down. She said, enough's enough. Let's take him down. We're done. And through the course of action, again, him being free allowed everyone else to free themselves. Because he showed them a different way. Now, what do I mean by freedom? Well, like I said, freedom of judgment, freedom of perception, basically. Again, I'm not bashing on my family. I'm just kind of processing. But this is very much so what is actually happening. I tried asking my family recently for help. I've been trying to talk to them. I've been trying to pursue my dreams. I've been trying to free myself from the weight on my heart, on the systems that tell me I can't do it. Unfortunately, I have discovered my family is one of those systems. They shat all over it. Basically, reinforce the I'm not good enough motif, or it's not possible. Now, it's not because a reflection of me. It's because they're not free within their hearts. They don't believe it's possible. Do I really have such a big brow? Damn, dude. And it's uneven. Fuck my face. Whatever. Anyways, just noticing my uneven face. Thank you, shadows. ADHD brain. But it's because they weren't free. My dad, and I know I've told this story a few times, but mainly my dad, but both parents. Nah, it was actually mainly my dad. Anyways. My dad would buy me art supplies or art anything. I believe it's just because of feeling neglectful and trying to smooch up to me with gifts, whatever the case was. Unfortunately, though, even though he bought me, like, tools that you would presume would be a loving gift towards someone's goals, basically he bought me art supplies. He bought me, like, a 3D design software. He bought me a $200 drawing tablet, $300 drawing tablet. And you're like, well, that sounds really supportive. He's buying you things to support your dreams. As he would hand me the gifts, he would go, this is just for fun. You will never be an artist. You cannot make money as an artist. It is an unrealistic goal. Do not dream. It's like it is unrealistic. Just keep it as a fun hobby. But it's never going to be a dream. It's never going to be real. And that's not a reflection on me. That's a reflection on him. He used to be an artist too. Someone probably squashed his dreams too. One of my biggest dreams was actually drawing with my dad. I actually tried to get him back into it all the time and he refused. Like hardcore. And even showing him how good I was getting, instead of freeing his heart, it actually turned him to bitterness. Anytime I tried to show him a drawing, he would instantly try to pick it apart. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Which it used to be, oh, you can adjust this, you can adjust this. Now I got to a point, that looked weird. That doesn't look good. That looks wrong. It's like, cool. Alright. So in that scenario, what do? Fortunately, I had to cut him out. I had to cut out my whole family. And it's not out of bitterness, out of anger. It's out of just, I don't want that negativity. I'm trying to be happy. I'm trying to pursue my goals. So why would I keep around people who are not only going to not be supportive, but actually be restrictive and actually kick me down? Ironically, my dad told me this story years ago. Scientists, which were mean, did an experiment where, and I know I've said this story many times, where you put these bananas up in a tree, and anytime a monkey tried to go get the bananas, they'd blast it off with a hose, teaching it you're not allowed to get the bananas. After a couple of weeks of doing this, the monkeys started doing it themselves. The ones that were getting blasted were conditioned and programmed to not get the bananas. So then they would introduce new monkeys, and those monkeys would try to get the bananas. But the old generation, the one that got programmed, would actually pull the monkeys down and say, no, you're not allowed to get those bananas because I'm not allowed to get those bananas. We're not allowed to touch them, so you can't try. That's essentially the programming that they got. So it's not out of bitterness and spitefulness. Oh, F you, you don't think I can do it. No, it's because they were taught that they couldn't do it. So they're teaching us that we can't do it. So what we had to do, what we should do, is not get angry, is use that fuel on the fire and be like, alright, fine. You don't think I can do this? Let's turn that anger into determination. I can. I have proven it to myself time and time again. Although I have not been consistent in making money with commissions and stuff, I have proven I'm good enough to do it. I have made some amazing art and some amazing commissions. I have made money off my artwork. Again, it has not been consistent, but it's happening. And I see other people doing it too. That's the biggest thing. I saw someone else being free. I'm like, well, these people over here are pursuing their dreams. They're making money off art. So, why can't I? Why can't I? Well, then it's because of the programming. The mental programming, the spiritual programming, the emotional programming. So I had to free myself from those systems first and be like, all right. Let's pull this system out and be like, all right, my family says I'm not going to be able to do this because it's unrealistic. Well, that one's going to have to be pulled out. So I pulled out the belief. But then, still talking to the family, unfortunately, reinforces the belief. So I had to cut out my family. And it's not just, again, it's not spiteful. It's just, every time I talk to them, it's repeated to me. In fact, I'm going to talk about something really fast. Again, not to dog on them, but I kind of do hope they see this. To continue on, well, how do you do that? For instance, I'm smart, okay? I've realized that, I've recognized it within myself. I'm fairly intelligent. And I have a stubbornness that can move stars. I am so fucking stubborn sometimes. You know what I decided to do? I'm going to use that as a gift. Luffy never thinks of the consequences. He does whatever is right in the moment, or whatever he feels is right in the moment. When everyone around him thinks he's fucking crazy, literally all the time, his crew is like, Captain, what are you doing? No! They're all screaming, and he's like, yeah! Let's go! And then they make it through, and they're all alive. Sure, there's some damage. Sure, maybe there's some injuries. But most of the time, everything turns out okay. And if it's not okay, they pick up the pieces and they make it okay. He doesn't think about the consequences. And I'm not saying live a life consequence-free, like go out and just start murdering people. No. There are consequences in the world. But if you tune your inner guidance, follow that. And if you know you're truly following your path, then the consequences doesn't matter. In a sense. Basically, I'm going off the rule. Sometimes I'm breaking some rules or bending some rules. Purposely breaking some systems. Knowing I can go back and fix them later. Let's talk about this. One sec. A recent scenario, I got stuck in a bad apartment complex. The scenario just kind of played out where it just happened. I was running out of time. I had to pick the first apartment that took me. Well, I ended up quitting my job. And despite everyone thinking I was effing nuts, I quit my job. Why? Because I was being manipulated. I was being lied to. And this is not a made-up scenario. I keep bringing this up because my family is actually trying to make me think I'm crazy. You ready? So I moved into these apartments, and I'm going to be a little honest. Not too honest, of course. But I got in the apartment and I caused a commotion. I had realized their apartment was a honeypot scheme. What I mean was, I physically filled out an application online. Got an apartment number. It was like 1590 or something. 15290 or something. And I was supposed to get it for like $600-700 a month. Well, I get in the office, and I was like, all right, let me get my keys. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, well, I have this apartment complex, I have a lease. I actually went online and signed a lease. Like, I have the addendum right here for this apartment number. They're like, we don't have that. It's like, what do you mean? I literally have the PDF. I still have it. I have the full packet for an apartment that I never got. And since I was out of options, I had to pick the apartment. And they knew that. So they switched me to an apartment that was another $100 more because they didn't have the apartment available. In fact, I couldn't even see it. It didn't exist. It's like, well, what happened to the legal document I signed? The manager literally goes, I don't know. It's not on my computer. Almost word for word, she's like, I don't have it. It's like, it's illegal. I have it. She goes, well, I don't. It's like, all right. Well, if I was going to end up being homeless, so I signed up for the apartment, and I lived there for about 4 or 5 months. Well, it got to the point, they were actually trying to cause issues with me. They were trying to fuck with me, because I had proved them wrong. And I was trying to tell my family this, and my older sister, again, not trying to be rude, just thought I was insane. Nobody's picking on you, Adam. Nobody's out to get you. It's like, Steph, look. I've said her name before, I'm sorry. I say it all the time in my videos, I forget, so whatever. It is a very common name anyways. It's not like a big reveal. In fact, my two sisters are the most common names in America. Anyways. Just a little side note. Well, they were trying to cause issues. My neighbor downstairs was actually trying to get me to go to jail. She actually had an ex-boyfriend try to jump me. Like, I mean, they were seriously trying to fuck with me. And I was trying to communicate this to my family, and they were sitting there treating me like I was crazy. You want to know how it got resolved? I basically told the apartments, F you, I don't have the money. I stayed in the apartments for 2 months without getting evicted. You're like, hold on. What do you mean? What do I mean? I stayed in the apartments 2 months. I mean, sure, they tried to come and get me, I just kept dodging them. But they never got the police involved, and they never actually filed an eviction lawsuit. They just kept sending me notices and ranking up my bill. I'm just like, okay. Well, finally I decided it was time to leave. I'm like, I'm done with this place. I'm just gonna have to accept it and be homeless. We'll see what happens. This whole time I've been following my inner guidance, despite how fucking crazy it seems. I went in the office and get this set up. I had 2 keys, and I knew it. I don't have proof, but I think they went up and stole the other key. Because ironically, I get down and I'm like, I only have 1 key. They're like, well, I need both keys. It's like, interesting. Interesting that my key disappeared while I was moving. It does happen. I get disorganized, but I remember setting it aside. Because it wasn't on a keychain, like, I made a mental note. I have OCD. So I'm like, alright, this is really important. I'm going to set this aside, and I set this in a specific spot. It's fucking gone. Searched my car. I still can't find it to this day. I am not that disorganized. So they made this whole deal about it. Well, I need both keys. I need both keys, or else you're going to be evicted. It's like, sorry, I only have 1 key. Guess I'll see you in court. I wasn't trying to be sarcastic. I'm just like, I don't have a choice. She goes, well, you can stay 1 more night, and you could try to find the key. It's like, I just told you I threw everything away. I don't have a bed. We'll try to find the key and bring it in tomorrow. It's like, yeah, whatever. I didn't care. I was like, whatever. I was fully ready to take the eviction. Well, they got mad because I called their bluff. Next thing I know, I have another $1,000 on my feet. That's it. No eviction notice, no nothing. They couldn't do anything. Why? Because they're not a legitimate business. I found out they're not licensed. They're not legal. Even if you have a Google page, that doesn't mean you're a legal business. They were functioning through an illegal office. So they couldn't legally evict me. If they actually pull me into court, I have enough evidence to bring them down, actually. So if they had brought me into court, it would have backfired on them severely. Severely. In fact, I'm just waiting for the debt. I'm actually waiting for them to pull me into court and be like, here it is. But they're not going to. So they got mad, and I called them on their bluff. So technically, I didn't get evicted. I just owe them a stupid amount of money because they kept tacking on illegal fees. So, that's weird. It kind of worked out for me. I'm not going to be too much of an asshole. Just, turned out it worked out for me. I mean, of course, I still have a bunch of debt. But you want to put it this way. If I were to truly die tomorrow, where does my debt go? Because I know people have died or taken their life over debt. We feel like it's such a heavy burden, such a heavy weight, that we're never going to be able to pay it off, and it just crushes us. People have ended their lives over amounts of debt. And I'm not sitting here saying that's anything bad. It's a very real fear. But you think of it this way, when you die, what happens to the debt? Of course, you can sit here and go, oh, it gets republished into the system and distributed amongst the taxes or whatever. Reality, it just disappears. Why? Because that debt's an imaginary number in the first place. So it's not really that crushing of a weight. It's one of those things I decided, you know what? Yeah, my credit sucks and I owe, I don't even know how much, probably a lot. Through all my debt through this whole process, I owe quite a bit of money. But that's not the end of the world. I don't need my credit right now. I'm not exactly using it. It's something I can fix later. The debt is something I can pay off later. Worst case scenario, I die, it just disappears. It's not even a concern anymore. I do fully intend to pay it, I just, not right now. So it's like, okay, I followed my intuition and it actually kind of worked out. Being here in the moment is the important part. That's why I stayed in the apartment for 2 months, afraid of being evicted, afraid of being homeless, because I was so scared of what was going to happen. So one day I finally walked out and said, okay, all right, let's do this. I'm gonna get evicted one way or another. Let's just follow my intuition. It's time to go. I left the comfort of the apartment, because even if they were threatening like crazy, I still had Wi-Fi, electricity for a while. And it's like, it's time to go. So I did. And it worked out. And although it looks like a restriction of freedom right now, which it technically is, I freed myself from certain systems. From manipulation. From relying on systems that are faulty, systems that are manipulative. People that are manipulative. And again, it feels like shit. I didn't say freedom was free. It never truly is. Because again, what did you have to do? I had to trash my entire life to get to this point. I had to let go of everything I knew. Everyone I knew. I had to free myself from everything that brought my heart down. I really wish I could tell this to my younger sister. But my dad actually projects onto my sister, which projects onto me. Because he gets mad at her that I won't talk to him. So he sends his anger to her. So she's actually mad at me that I won't talk to my dad. You see where this is going? Because she actually brought it up one day. Like, she got nasty and goes, well, you don't ever reply to him. I was like, why is that your concern? Why are you angry that I don't reply to dad? That's kind of weird, you know? So they talk, and he's getting mad at her, or projecting onto her, because I refuse to talk to him. Well, that's the cycle right there. I want to look at her and be like, look, if you strip away the title dad, look at what he is. He abused me. Physically, mentally, manipulated, lied to me for years. He just wasn't a great person. He wasn't a great dad. It is what it is. Did his best. I'm not mad anymore. But the truth of the situation is... buttfuck. Truth of the situation is... it is what it is. You know? You can't really do much about it. Other than free yourself from a system. So I had to cut him out. And of course that made it worse. He's even more angry. And it is what it is. But, oh, I got distracted, that's what it was. So if you take away the title dad, and you look at him what he is, he was abusive, he was manipulative, he was blah 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 blah. And I say in past tense, people can change, but he didn't. He actually got worse. Why? Because he didn't free himself from his weights, his heart. He also had some shit in his life. Everyone does. But because he never freed himself from it, it brought him down. And he ended up finding a partner, a wife, who also was very trapped. Basically, he found someone in the same mind space as him, which unfortunately just collided and made everything worse. You know? It's like, for instance, drinking. If you're in a bad mental state and you drink, it just amplifies it. So unfortunately, he found another person that vibed on his level, but it was not a great level, so they just kept making things worse. My dad became more manipulative, more harsh, more angry. So if you remove the title dad, you've just got a really angry guy who lashes out, manipulates, and hurts the people around him. I can't be around that anymore. I had to free myself from that system. And it hurts. It really does. The thing my sister doesn't seem to understand is that your dad, okay, let me put it as, my opinion, her perspective is, that's your dad. Why won't you respect him and talk to him? My perspective is, yeah, that was my dad. That's why I can't talk to him anymore. Two very different perspectives. One is restrictive, one is free. It doesn't feel free. I can sure as hell tell you it does not feel free. I am alone right now. I don't talk to my family. I don't have any friends. But I'm free. You gotta ask yourself, is freedom worth the cost? That's really what it matters. Because a lot of people don't think it's true, and that's why they refuse to free themselves. In fact, a lot of the times, I don't know if you've ever heard this metaphor, a lot of the times the cage is open and we don't even know it. It's just we won't walk out. Because we don't want to be free. It's so much easier to be stuck in our head and stuck in our hearts and stuck in the anger. Obviously, here I am, technically, physically, alone. This does not feel free. But while I'm doing that, you want to know what? I woke up this morning to the pitter-patter of rain in my car. Do you know how nice that was? It was like camping. I mean, of course, it's a little delusional because this is not as fun as camping. But I freed myself from the job that was manipulative and harsh and hurtful and actually abused me physically and mentally. I left the family who was physically and mentally abusive. So again, was it worth it? Yeah. So easy to say that sitting in the situation. But it still was. I feel better. Other than just the restraints of not knowing where my next meal is going to be and stuff like that, my heart feels freer. Because I'm not weighed down by these chains anymore. Some of the family members are actually turning around and going, shit, this guy's actually really smart. Like my grandma. My older grandma, is like, no, he's pretty smart. He's maturing. My older sister's like, no, he's an effing psycho. He needs to be institutionalized or he needs to be on meds. She's actually said I had to be on medication to be around her. It's like, I can't do that. I'm not willing to. So I basically told her to F off. It's like, if that's who you want me to be to feel safe, then maybe I don't need to be in your life. I have to change myself to be safe. I understand some of the conversation because, it happens. I tried being open with her and it scared the shit out of her. It's like, alright, if that's the case, I can't be free in this family. They won't let me be me. That's all it is. It's not spite, it's not anger, it's just, I can't be myself around these people, so I just plain and simple, I can't be around them. If a system prevents me from being myself, I refuse. I fucking refuse. I'm past that point, guys. I'm going to be me. And if you can't accept it, it is what it is. I'm not going to tell you to F off. I'm just going to say, okay. I'll play in my sandbox, you go play in your sandbox. How about that? I don't want it to be that way. I want to learn to be able to play in the same damn sandbox and respect each other. But right now, that's not the case. I really hope. Part of me does hope that this is not for nothing. Because just like the show, I'm really hoping my freedom inspires other people. Just like Luffy, they saw he was free. They're like, I want to be like that. I can't make anyone else free, but I can definitely show you how. Or I can help. I can show you the door, you just gotta walk through it. Because the reality is, nobody can free you. You gotta do it yourself. But sometimes a little bit of help is okay. No, sometimes. Help is okay. They just can't do the work for you. They can show you, they can walk with you, and they can guide you. But you still have to free yourself. And that is what Luffy was trying to teach. Again, my father. You try to free him, he just goes right back to the same patterns because he doesn't want to be free. But then there's other people that are like, you know what? I'm sick of feeling this way. I'm sick of my life repeating. I am sick of being stuck in a system or systems that just don't work for me anymore. My approach was a little radical. I'm honestly a little... I'm on a roller coaster of immense magnitude. Let's put it that way. But I've been trusting my spirit, my guide, God, whatever you want to call it. And despite how it looks right now, I know I'm free. I can tell. Even if I'm a hobo. God, I'm a fucking hobo now. I'm sorry, saying it out loud kind of messed with me. But you know what? I don't have anyone telling me how to be right now. I wake up, I go play in a forest for however long I want. I can go hug a tree, I can go walk around in a spring creek, in a creek, in a spring or a creek, a little bit of both. Yeah, there's again definitely some restrictions, but I trust God to help me follow through. That's where I'm relying on God. I'm like, alright, help me! Sorry, my throat chakra is really opening. Obviously, this video has been me standing on a soapbox preaching. So, speaking my truth. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired. I'm really tired. And there are definitely days I almost didn't make it. But luckily, I'm hitting that two weeks kind of period where I'm doing better. I've kind of just accepted it. You know, you go through the 5 stages of grief and finally hitting the acceptance phase of just, it is what it is. I don't think this is going to be permanent. I don't know. That's when you gotta be like Luffy. You just believed it was always gonna work out. Always. Literally. They're like, the crew's like, but what if, and Luffy just goes, yeah, it's fine, I'm sure it'll work out. They're like, what the fuck? He literally says it all the time. He goes, I'm sure it'll work out. They're just like, dude, how are you so blissfully optimistic? It's because he believed in himself. He believed in his power and he believed in his crew. He knew what they were capable of. And he knew that they can defeat almost any obstacle. Confidence. So what do you need to be free? You don't even have to be smart. You just have to have overwhelming confidence and a stubbornness that can move stars. Go watch a movie called A Knight's Tale. A man truly can change his stars. It's actually the epitome of everything I'm saying right now. A Knight's Tale. A knight as in N or K-N-I-G-H-T. Like medieval. It's got a Heath Ledger in it. It's an amazing movie. That whole movie sums up exactly what I'm saying. Dude freed himself. Dude was living in poverty. Okay, my video's about to end. They can only go for an hour, but dude was living in poverty as a thatcher. And he wanted to be a knight. And he made it happen. Despite the rules of nobility not being noble blood, he made it happen. The biggest chain you have to remove is the fear of impossible, because nothing is impossible. I am malleable proof of that. I say malleable because I used to not think that way. But the first chain you have to let go is thinking impossible is impossible. There is nothing that's impossible. You can very well change the stars. This was a heavy episode. Y'all have a great day.